I'm actually looking forward to this episode. We've met a few times in person. We haven't really got to talk a whole lot. But Jake Klaus is here with us today. He is co-founder of Natura Pest Control. You guys probably seen him all over online. He's not new to the industry, that's for sure. He's definitely a heavy hitter and just a good dude. And so I just wanted to get him on the show, chat, as we always do, get to learn, from some of the best in the industry. So Jake, man, thanks for being here today with us.
Dude, I'm pumped, man. I watch your show or listen to your podcast, and when we had you on the Bug Bucks podcast a while back, and so that was really cool. It's great to sit down with you. I think you're an awesome dude. I love what you're doing in the industry too.
Cool, I appreciate it. Like, yeah, it was we finally got to meet when we were at a Pest World for the first time, so that was fun. Get to kick with you guys a little bit there. And then yeah, get to be on your guys' podcast, so that was fun. And I get to I've introduced pretty much all of the partners on here. So I was like, I haven't got to talk to Jake. Like I think I don't know if I saw you somewhere, if you liked something. I'm like, oh, I gotta reach out to him. Like I want to connect and just get him on the podcast and chat some more. And such a good dude. But I'm sure I know you've listened to the podcast a lot, so you're probably ready for this question. But and I love this question only because like I just want to see where you came from. Like what's wired in people that are in pest control or entrepreneurs from early age. So if you and I are like sophomores, juniors in high school, who is Jake Klaus? And then also, did you know then that you were going to do something big?
Dude, okay. So first of all, I was a complete screwball in school. Total screwball, man. You know who I was in high school, dude? I was Ferris Bueller, you know? Yeah, the jocks, geeks, bloods, sluts, they all thought I was a righteous dude, right? So I was had a lot of friends. I was friends with everybody. But when I was in high school, all I cared about was skateboarding and screwing around. And I actually had this. I played the drums in this punk band.
Really? That's kind of cool.
Yeah. From the time, like I was like 13 or 14. And for some strange reason, I had older siblings that would go hang out at this punk club, and me and my couple buddies had this punk band starting in like 8th grade. And for some reason, my mom let us go play a show down at the Crazy Horse in downtown Boise and play this punk show. And we were legitimately, we were in 8th grade, dude. And so a couple of the bands were like, "Hey, you guys are pretty cool. So come back and play." So anyway, we just started playing shows every weekend we were playing shows. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, we got to play with some really cool bands. But yeah, I mean, over the years, over my high school years, we played with a bunch of cool bands. When I was 15, we opened for Sublime. It was crazy. And this is like 1994, right? So Sublime wasn't like really big then. In fact, they were like the middle show. It went us and then Sublime and then this band called Guttermouth. Where is Guttermouth now?
Wow. So are we the youngest or the oldest, or in the middle too, as far as your family?
Classic middle. I'm a classic, like typical middle child, right? Yeah, just screwball. So that was me in high school. I was friends with everybody, all like skateboarding and playing the drums in the band. That was my whole life. Summer after I graduated from high school, we went on this U.S. tour with another band. We modified my van and just started at Boise, Idaho, went north to Moscow, Idaho, and then just headed straight east to Washington, D.C., and then back down through the states. So that was a lot of fun. It was a really big like shaping experience for me. When I was in high school, I didn't give one thought to what was happening after high school. Like I just lived in the moment, So I didn't think about pest control seriously until several years later,
But did you like maybe not pest control, but did you know like deep down inside at a young age that you were gonna go do something, like not just like a normal 9 to 5 type thing? Like, did you know you were gonna do something big?
Yeah, I mean, the punk rocker in me didn't want to work for the man, right? So
I think we all have that little edge in us, That's what makes us the way we are.
totally, yeah. I mean, there's something. I think there's a little punk rock in every entrepreneur, right? Kind of like I'm going to do it my way, stick it to the man. Like screw you. I'm gonna do my own thing. So for sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So then you go off, you're doing some tours, and then you said a few years later, you find pest control, or does pest control find you?
Pest control found me. Absolutely. So, yeah. So I don't know. A couple year after high school, I just kind of had this moment where I was like, dude, I'm going to hell. I got to change things up. So started going back to church. I served a 2-year mission for my church in Southeast Asia. I spent 2 years in Sri Lanka and Malaysia and a little bit in Singapore.
Really?
hmm
Like, walk me through that. Like, you're how old? 18 probably this time?
Yeah, I was. I think I was. I was. It was the summer after we came back from that tour. Just things just weren't going well in my life. Um, yeah, I was just getting into stuff that I shouldn't be getting into, and I don't know, just lost.
Yeah, I think like I went through that phase too. Like, and it's like you're so used to being like maybe on top of the world, or maybe you're popular in high school and you're just being a great athlete and you know what it's like to win. And then all of a sudden after that, it's like you're missing that piece, you know? And so I got lost there too. So you're out knocking doors in Asia. How was that? What's that? What was that experience like? Like,
It
that's
was
wild.
wild, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. Sri Lanka is really it's like a Star Wars planet. Like in Star Wars, like every planet is different. Like everywhere they go is totally different. Sri Lanka might as well have been like a Star Wars world. It was just completely different than the exact opposite of Boise, Idaho.
I bet. Do you speak any other language or you just speak English? Like, how was that?
Yeah, so I was an English speaking missionary because the mission was so big. I mean, it covered such a wide area, and there was like something like 30 languages spoken. So when I was in Malaysia, my first area was on the eastern coast of Borneo. Like I was in Borneo, Malaysia, and so a lot of people spoke English, but you had to learn Malay to just kind of get around. So I was there for 6 months. By the time I left there, I could sit on like a bus or an airplane or something and have a 2 hour long conversation. Yeah, same thing in Sri Lanka too.
Yeah. How did that shape? Like, obviously I know where this heads off to, but how does that shape your career right there? How does that shape you?
Oh, it was the most life transformative experience. I learned how to work. I learned how to be disciplined. I learned how to deal with conflict.
Yeah. Cause every day getting your face kicked in, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, people there, you're being a white guy in Malaysia and Sri Lanka, you're kind of a novelty. So everybody's nice to you. Not everybody wants to let you in, but like it's cool to be cool there. So, I learned how to work. I mean, near the equator at sea level for 2 years. It's hot. It's dusty, it's dirty, it's sweaty, it's hard work. So there's all of that, but yeah, I think that my mission taught me like the basics of life, how to get along with others, how to work as a team, how to grind, how to put your shoes on and go to work when work is hard, how not to beat the crap out of somebody that you have to live with and be around with all the time. So you learn humility, you learn charity, you learn how to be a disciple. You learn all these things that you need in your life. I learned that in those 2 years.
That's really cool. So then I'm assuming, like, you get back. This is just me making assumptions. When you get back, you get recruited to go knock doors for pest control.
Yeah, I was going to school at Boise State, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had no business being in college. And I was in this geology. I was a geology major. I mean, me as a geologist, I love geology, but can you see me being a geologist? It just didn't
Not
make
now,
sense.
but maybe back then. But not to change subjects, but I was just down in a cave last week, like 150 feet into the ground. Like, then we had like a geologist like walking us through these caves and talking us through all these rocks. Like, it's fascinating, but I'd be bored out of my mind after more than an hour.
Yeah. See, I would love that. You should have taken me with you, dude. That would have
Anytime you want to
been.
come visit, it's super cool.
Yeah,
It's
that
like
would be
it's
dope.
one of like the top 5 caves in like the country. It's really cool.
Yeah. See, I would love to do that. Let's do that. I'm gonna come visit you. Yeah, dude. So yeah. Anyway, this dude in my geology class was like, "Hey, you want to come fight wildfires with me?" And I was like, "Sure." And then buddy of mine that I met, he was like, "Hey, do you want to go sell pest control?" And I was like, "Well, how much does it make?" And he's like, "You can make this much." And it was like twice what I would make as a wildland firefighter. So anyway, I went out and did that. I did like 150 accounts my first summer in Central Valley, California. Not bad.
What company were you working for at the time, your first year?
It was BJ's Consumer's Choice. I don't know. They had sales teams back then. Nobody. Clark was our biggest competitor down there.
Gotcha. Just like paper estimates, like
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, when we started Natura, it was paper. Oh, dude, that's a whole story.
I love that. I love this stuff. It's
It's
so cool.
analog, dude. It was an
Yeah.
analog world.
And a lot of people like I remember like my first business, it was analog too. So like people don't know how much easier it is these days. Like they don't
Oh,
it's
it's
so much
so
easier.
easy.
Yeah, I mean they have YouTube University, they have like a podcast, like there's we had to read books, actually read the books.
I know. Analog with paper. Can you believe that?
It's
Yeah,
funny.
dude.
These kids have it easy every day.
They have it too easy, man.
Are you sick of paying marketing agencies and not getting results? Well, we are hosting the #1 step-by-step class on how to attract and generate sales without paying a marketing agency or having a huge budget. Most lawn care and pest control owners get stuck at a ceiling because they're dealing with outdated systems or relying on guesswork waiting for the phones to ring. Our upcoming class this Thursday provides proven strategies to generate hundreds of leads without a huge budget. We'll show you how to build a predictable system to grow past $1 million. We show you how to automate your marketing. We'll also teach you how to delegate and build your team so you have more time. So click the link in the description below. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. This is the one thing that I wish I had learned a lot sooner. Now, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, so that was my first summer.
150 accounts for BJ's. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you decided like, okay, I had a good first year. But your first thoughts, like, I'm going to come back and do this again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the plan. So they said, "Hey, you did pretty well. Do you want to come back as a team leader?" And I was like, "Sure." I had been studying Arabic at Boise State, and so then the plan was I was going to go I had a scholarship to go study at the American University in Cairo, and so that was the plan. I was going to go sell pest control that summer, second summer, and then I was headed to Egypt for 2 semesters. And anyway, I met this beautiful girl on the internet and fell in love. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to Egypt. And she's like, if you're going to Egypt, I'm not going with you. And I was like, well, wherever you are is where I want to be. So that plan changed.
That's pretty cool. So obviously you got married and you're still happily married to the same woman?
Same woman, dude. 19 years in August.
Congratulations. We'll probably get to that later on in the show, but that's, 19 years is a long time with anyone. But so we'll get to that point because we're going to talk about choosing your, obviously your friends, you're going to choose your spouse wisely. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, that's really cool. So your second summer, then what happens after your second summer? You get married, but then what happens? Like, where do you go from there?
Well, so the next summer, it's our first summer married. We had just we went like from marriage to pregnancy like right away. I mean, we got married in August, got pregnant in October with our first child, and so that next summer, I had a job working at Quest. Now at CenturyLink, I was in a call center, and I thought that was going to be the life. So the next summer, our first son was born, Jack was born. So that summer, I didn't sell pest control, and we were struggling, like didn't have a lot of money, and so a friend of mine said, "Hey, there's a company locally here that has teams. If you want to go sell for these guys." So I started working for a company called Gemtech there, and I sold for those guys in 2008, 9, 10. And then 2011, I went and sold pest control in Dallas, and then finished the summer in like North LA. And then 2012 came back and sold for Gemtech again.
I mean, this really is that long ago, dude.
Right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, comparatively, right? I mean, for old guys like me and you, it's not long ago. But some of the new guys in the industry, I tell them, yeah, I got started 20 years ago, and they're like, whoa, that's a long time. And I guess it kind of is.
It is, but that's why like they don't understand like how long it really takes. They don't understand what it takes, and they don't understand how long it takes. Of course, we all wanted to go faster, but it's just not how it works. It's like how long can you stay in the same game for this long to be this good at it? But they see this overnight success with you, or maybe it's me, and they're like, oh well, you blew up. I'm like, no, dude, I've been doing this for 15 years, and maybe the last 5 years you noticed me. But didn't see the first 12 years where you didn't see me get my face kicked in, trying to figure out, not be able to pay bills. Like they don't remember, they don't see that shit. They see the new stuff. Think, oh yeah, you just exploded. That's not how it went,
No,
right?
you grind away, right? I mean, we love to see the heroes. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see the grind. We want to see the gold medal. So that's I yeah, we and that's what we did. I mean, we just grinded it out. In 2012, I said, I'm going to service 500 accounts. And back then, this is like long before like the 1,000 door guys, you know? And so that summer I went out and I did it. I serviced 500 accounts. And so I was like, dude, I made it. I've arrived. And I knew this guy. He was like, dude, pest control is for the little dogs. You want to run with the big dogs? You got to come sell security. And I was like, I want to run with the big dogs. And I drank the Kool-Aid. I drank the orange Kool-Aid, right? So went out and sold for that security company. It was the worst freaking summer of my entire life. It was my first experience with like big mega teams because this whole time I'd been selling locally, right? And so anyway, it
I
sucked.
am like a team of 100, or what did that look like?
Our team was like 30. We were in East Texas, and then 45 minutes away to the east, there was another team of like 30 guys, and there wasn't a whole lot of area. So by the end of June, the whole area is just burned. I mean, scorched, right? And so they say, well, we're going to pick up from Texas here. We're moving everybody to Kentucky. You're going to have to stay in your own hotel room. You got to pay for your hotel yourself. You know, we're not covering that anymore. And I was like, that wasn't the deal. That's not, I'm not going to take my wife and my two boys and my 1-year-old daughter and stick them in a hotel in Kentucky that we have to pay for, you know, like, so I left, I went to California, and obviously I breached contract. There's no way I was going to fight their lawyers. Right. So they took my back end check. I think it was like 35 grand, took my back end check. And I was like, that's dumb. That's it. I'm done. I'm done with that world. So that's when Jan and I decided, let's just go start our own pest control company.
Really? That's awesome. So yeah, walk us through that. Yeah, I mean, I know she's been a very big thing in this whole deal. So like, walk us through that.
Oh, Jana is it. Jana is it. So yeah, so we came out here to Portland, Vancouver, and I was working in California at the time, selling pest control for a buddy's company, and so I came up to take my pest control exams. We drove all the way up to Olympia. I sat down, took the pest control exams, passed them first time, first try, and then we just, dude, we didn't know anybody, so we came up to do all the paperwork and to file for a business license. They want to know 2 references in the state of Washington, and at that time, so we moved to Vancouver. We didn't know a single soul. In fact, the only person that we knew in Washington State was my wife's aunt and uncle, and they lived on the east side of the state. Like, they weren't even in our area. And so we put them down, and then we met a friend from church, so we put him down. And that was it. When we moved here, we literally didn't know a single soul. And so that's where we started. And then what happened was, so we were going to move up here. We moved up here the beginning of September. And like, we were set to move on a Monday, like U-Haul's packed. And then the Saturday before, my wife's cousin's getting married. So we go to her wedding reception, and my mother-in-law says, hey, you've got to meet such and such distant relative, right? They live in Battleground. They need pest control. And I was like, oh, sweet. So and talked to them. They're like, yeah, we need pest control. I'm like, well, I'm starting up on Monday, you know? So they said, well, come see us. So I went knocked on their door, sold them.
Do you have equipment at this point? Did you go? I'm assuming you
Yeah,
went buy.
I had a truck, and I had like one of those like 50-gallon pump sprayers with the 200-foot hose reel, you know, which later on I realized, why the hell am I doing this? This is so stupid, you know? So anyway, I went and sold to them, and then I just started knocking their neighborhood because that's what I knew to do. I sold the next door neighbor, and
So you're selling and servicing.
oh yeah, both. Yeah, 16-hour days. I mean, when we started, it was me, my wife, my 3 kids, and a truck. I mean, that was it. We didn't know a single person.
Yep, same thing. Like, and it's so similar to my story too. When I started over, like, I'm driving to Green Bay, Wisconsin, 2.5 hours every single day. I know 0 people. It's just me knocking on doors. I'm selling, which I've never even knocked doors before. Like, I didn't come from a door knocking world. I just didn't have a choice. So yeah, it was like I'm out there servicing. I'm doing everything out of out of this truck. So yeah, I've been through it. It's like it resonates so well with me, you know.
If you'd said, dude, if you could either go back and start with $100,000, I wouldn't want to, dude. No way. Because it was the grind, you know. I'd service in the morning, I'd sell in the afternoon, and that September, October, I only put on like 150 accounts, first 150 accounts, but I earned those,
Yeah. We're probably the most fulfilling 150 accounts ever, though.
Yes. Oh yeah, dude. Well, and there's a difference between selling for somebody else and selling for yourself. You knock on the door and say, "This is my company," and people are like, "Oh, I believe in the American dream, so I'm going to sign up with you." So Jana we got pregnant again with our fourth baby. This is October. We got pregnant again. All of our kids are born within like a 2-week span, and they're all like June 19th to whatever, July 7th. So I guess it's
That's
a few
because you're
weeks.
bored in the winter.
Right? Yeah. Well, there's something about October. It starts getting chilly, and Halloween, and there's, I don't know, French maid costumes. Just kidding. That
For
never
real.
actually happened. But so I mean, then it's the struggle, right? And for whatever reason, that pregnancy for Jana was the hardest one. And so here we are. We live in the freaking crappiest apartment in Vancouver. Our apartment got broken into twice. I had a pistol stolen out of my car. I mean, we live in the freaking ghetto, right? And it's rainy, like it's constantly rainy. It never, September, October, November, December, January, it's like rainy all the time. So anyway, it sucked. But we just went through the grind. And the only way that we got through it was because we were so completely unified in our vision for what we wanted to accomplish. Dude, my wife is, I tell her all the time, I got the best one. Like, she is so on board with the vision. Sometimes she's the one that has the vision most and is pushing the most. And man, Jana is the secret sauce to all of this. She's
Awesome.
so smart.
What was the vision back then? Do you remember?
Yeah. So the vision was we wanted to dominate the Pacific Northwest. That was the vision. We wanted Natura Pest Control to be a household name in the Pacific Northwest. So we're getting there, at least in our market. Natura is a household name. Everybody here knows who we are. But then we had some other long-term visions, long-term goals. The big goal that I had, and this is the big one, was we wanted to retire or semi-retire, not completely retire, but we want to semi-retire at 45. So that was a vision, and we worked towards it. And we knew in order to do that, we'd have to do A, B, and C, and D, and all through Z, right? Like, because it's not just going to happen. We have to plan for it and make the steps. And so a couple of years ago, a year ago, we promoted our service manager to GM, and the dude is freaking awesome. I mean, he's like, couldn't ask for a better GM. So he runs the day-to-day. We've got a good office manager. She runs the office. And that's allowed us to essentially step back from the business and just have a bird's eye umbrella, hot air balloon view of the business. And it's been that way for the last several years, which has been like the absolute greatest blessing in our family, because it meant we got to spend a lot of time together as a family. Probably, I mean, more than any other family that we know. I mean, we're together all the time. And so that was a real blessing. I turned 45 in July 5th. Yeah. Yesterday was my baby's 11th birthday. So
Happy birthday.
So yeah. It's awesome.
That's really
man.
cool. So yeah, you have you have 15 days to semi-retire. Are you gonna make it?
No, man. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. I mean, I feel like,
What do you think the difference will be from 2 weeks? Like, let's fast forward. Let's go to the day you turn 45. What's going to be different from today till then?
well, we're expanding our sport court.
At home?
Yeah, at home. Yeah. So you know what? I mean, what'll be different. What'll be different is that we will be able to look at what we started with initially, and we'll be able to look at the vision that we had 12 and a half years ago, and be able to say, we set out to do this, and look at us. We did it, and getting to that point, it's not an event. It's a process, right? I mean, just like anything else, it's a process. And so, yeah, in 2 weeks on my birthday, we'll be able to look back and say, we started with this end in mind. We started with this goal, and look, here we are.
So are you not semi-retired today?
Well, I guess we could say, yeah, we're semi-retired. And by semi-retired, what we really meant was we're not running the day-to-day operations of the business, which frees us up to do other things. And the goal all along, the goal all along has always been um, become financially independent so we can do what we want to do, right? It, there's this dude, there's a quote on the wall of Jimmy John's. I freaking love Jimmy John's. It's best franchise sandwich, but there's a quote on the wall. It says, if you do the things you need to do when you need to do them, someday you'll be able to do the things you want to do when you want to do them. And so that's where we are now. We're able to do what we want to do when we want to do it. We've been able to get involved in other business enterprises. But I think really the biggest thing that it's afforded us is that, money doesn't buy happiness, but money buys time, and time brings happiness. And so for the last several years, it's been family time. We've spent so much time as a family, and we look back on it now and we realize what a blessing that was. Cause we lost our 14-year-old son. It's been 14 months, and the 2 years before he died, 2 or 3 years, we're together all the time as a family. And so if we'd been slaving away all that time and at work all the time, I might have looked back and thought, man, I wish that I had spent more time with my family. But in all of it, that's the one thing that I don't regret. You regret having, losing your patience with your kids, and you regret some of those things, but we don't regret the amount of time that we got to spend with our kids. And that's what building our business gave us, was time.
Yeah. Do any of the kids have any interest in pest control or the business at all?
Our oldest, he's actually a technician for us right
Oh,
now.
really? Gotcha. That's kind of cool. How long has he been working here? Does he like it?
He loves it, dude. He loves it. When he was a little kid, he was like 7 when we started the business. And so as a dad, you're like, oh man, it's going to be so awesome. Someday my boy's going to be running routes, and it's going to be Jack. He's going to be in the truck, And so here we are, he's doing it. Dude, he loves his job. He's learning everything, like he comes back, we talk ants, we talk bed bugs, we talk fleas, like we talk pest control. I'm talking pest control with my son. So he loves it right now. I don't think his long-term plan is to go into pest control. He's very entrepreneurially minded. He's not like a go work for somebody else kind of person. So it's going to be really cool to see what he does. But a few weeks ago, he got his mission call. So in October, he's going to go to Panama. He's going to serve in Panama City for 2 years. So that's really cool. And you know what? I think just like me, I think he's going to find himself in those 2 years, and he's going to come back and have a better idea of who he is and what his capacities are, and maybe a little bit more of a vision for who he is and where he wants to go in life.
Awesome. I'm going to kind of transition a little bit, but this is a perfect segue because my stepson is actually, as his first summer, he just graduated college. He's got him playing baseball. He's knocking doors for us this summer. So it's just kind of cool. That's the segue. It's going to segue right into what I want to talk about next. So I know you started the company knocking doors. You think it's very, very important to do, but then you transitioned. Can you walk us through that whole process and what that looked like? And if you would do anything different today?
You know what? I wouldn't do anything different today. I wouldn't, honestly. We started the first 7 years of our business. I was recruiting door teams. That's how we grew initially, was door to door. I guess 7, 8 years. We had teams for a long time. Well, it seemed like a long time to me. But eventually, it got to the point where, when we were first recruiting teams in 2014 through 2019, 2018, it was like you can go to these schools and you can recruit these guys, and it's all good, right? But then it gets to this point where, dude, we just simply can't compete with the big door companies. There's no way.
Right. And they're not going to.
And we're not, and there's no way. And so, we go out and from September through March, I'm gone every other week for months. I'm gone for a whole week. So half the time I'm gone. And, you date these guys all freaking off season long. You get them on board, you're taking them out to dinners, you're doing events, you're throwing parties, you're doing preseason training, all this stuff. Right. And then 2 days before they're supposed to show up, they call you and say, you get that phone, you see a sales guy's contact ring you, and you're like, damn it. And so then they call and such and such big company offered me 2% more. And so I'm going to go with them. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, just spent all this time
Or you get that text of, hey, can we chat?
You're right. Yep. It's like, no, we can't chat. If you're gonna leave, then freaking leave, you know? But some of our closest friendships have come out of those years. So I've got one of my good, I think we've had 5 of our sales guys go on to start their own pest control companies. And that is so satisfying. One of them is like kind of in a market close to us. And dude, we talk all the time. And I'm so glad for him to grow and scale his business. And one of our best friends started a company last year in the Provo, Salt Lake, Utah area. And when Jess died, he had started the company, but he didn't have a name. And so he called us one day and he's like, "Hey, I got this idea." And Jess always said, "I'm the biggest bird," like that was his thing. Like, I'm the biggest bird. And so Dave Morgan calls us and he's like, "Hey, I got this idea. I wanted to name my company. Like, I want to pay homage to Jess." And he goes, "I want to name my company Biggest Bird. Can I do that?" And we're like, "Cuss, yeah, dude." So it's so great because some of the closest, best relationships that we have came from those days. But then it just got to a point where I'm like, dude, I'm freaking tired of being away from my family all the time. I'm tired of babysitting, because when you have a sales team, you're babysitting, right? And so I was tired of it, tired of babysitting. So that in 2020 I think we had 30 guys slated for Portland and 20 guys slated for Vancouver. We're going to split the teams again. And COVID happened and we lost like 4/5 of the team.
Oh,
Like,
wow. Wow.
yeah. And it was a struggle. I mean, Portland was one of the hottest hotbeds for, Portland turned into Gotham City
Crazy.
overnight. Dude, it was. Yeah. So after that, we were like, I just didn't have the stomach for it. Every time I thought about going out and recruiting sales guys or training sales guys, it was like, I'd rather get kicked in the nuts than do this again. Like, even if I got kicked in the nuts every day, like, I would take that over this. So we made the transition, we started doing other things.
Yeah. I want to hit on that a little bit. What are your thoughts on your reputation as a brand from door knocking as a whole, and then also, I mean, online it's a little bit different, but like, what do you think? What do you think the reputation of door to door does to your brand personally? I want to know your thoughts.
When you've got a door company, as soon as you put somebody else in your company logo, you put your name right on their T-shirt or their polo or whatever. That's you. Like, they are you now. So if you have a door guy that goes out and he pisses somebody off, they're not going to say, "Hey, so and so, who was a representative of Natura Pest Control, was a dick." They're going to say, "Natura Pest Control are dicks," right? So that's the struggle. It's when you have people out there representing you.
Because we can't control everything that they do and say.
I wish we could, right? But you can't. And so when we were recruiting our sales guys, we were so heavily involved in the training. I mean, I ran the training meetings every day. We trained not only on sales, but we trained on pest control, so our guys would know what the hell they're talking about. If I had a guy that said, "We're going to do a flush out," like, I'd smack him. Like, there's no such thing. Like, that's sales crap, right? We taught our guys to make sales and switchovers based on the merit of our service, not on some pretended lie about somebody else's service.
Yeah, like they just did in the door. Like, I got a video sent to me, and this is stupid. Not that I even care, but someone just sent to me like, yeah, they're trying to switch over from us to their company. Like, yeah, we're licensed to spray up higher than 25 feet. I'm like, why do they even say this shit?
The crap, dude. Right? We get Natura doesn't sweep the eaves. Natura doesn't have a landscaping license. That's the big one. Like, what the hell is a landscaping license? Do you mean ornamental turf, insecticide, and fungicide? Because yes, we absolutely do have that license. But you know, so anyway, you get these guys that just say crap. They lie, cheat, and steal to make sales. And if we had guys doing that, we just sent them home. You know, because we built this thing. We built this city on pest control, right? And so those guys, we just sent them home. So there's another company here in the area that hires they hire a marketing company, and those guys come in and they're pushy, aggressive, they're mean, they freaking torch areas. Um, and I think right now that company has like 2 or 3 lawsuits against them. The company, not the knocking company, the pest control company, because of these guys, right? And so their reputation is burned. And so there's two kind of funny things that came out of that. You know, first of all, that really sucks for them because they're pest control company owners that started their business, and then door guys are ruining their business. But secondly, every summer we get our customers, or maybe not even our customers, we get people calling in saying, your guy, blah, 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 he's an asshole to my wife, yada, yada. And we're like, whoa, hold on a second. Who is this guy? Yeah, your guy knocked on my door. Wasn't our guy. Well, yeah, Natura, you guys are the pest control company, right? We're like, yes, we are the pest control company, but we're not that pest control company, right? So it's great because in our market, in people's minds, Natura is the pest control company. So we get an opportunity to clear it up with those people. But I mean, isn't that the vision that we set out for in the first place? Was to make our name the household name.
So, like turning back, would you have done door to door again?
I wouldn't do it differently. Yeah, I wouldn't do it differently. Yeah, because we're able to do the door to door game. We're able to play that game and do it well, and still maintain our reputation in the in our community.
Because I get asked that all the time. What do you like? I get asked this question. Do you think that door knocking affects your brand? I said, well, it absolutely can. But if it's done the right way, it can be done very effectively and not hurt your brand. Again, we can't control everything that happens, but we can try to train the right way. Tell them things not to say, and train them on pest control, like you said. And I don't know if I remember this correctly, but didn't you guys transition? You had some sales guys, but they weren't like, and I could be wrong. So maybe I was quoting something. Like they weren't 1099. They were still kind of did a little bit of door to door, but a different way. Do I remember correctly? Am I wrong?
You know what? So we were always nervous about the whole 1099 thing, you know, because you should be, because when you are doing the training and you're putting the guys in your company logos and you're sending them out to area and you're telling them how to price things. I mean, dude, I mean, honestly, that's not a 1099, right? And so we were always a little bit nervous about that. And so that kind of came to a head for us around the same time that we decided not to do door to door guys. So we had a couple of guys that would still kind of float and do sales for us, but these were seasoned guys. We didn't have to train them; they'd go out on their own. And then we tried to transition our technicians into hybrid technician sales reps, and that just
How did
didn't
that
work for
work?
us.
I was gonna say, how did that work?
Yeah,
They're just two different
it
profile
didn't.
people.
Oh, totally. Farmers and hunters, right? Yeah, you can't make farmers be hunters, or maybe you can. It was just didn't work for us.
Yeah, and as I always said, it's way easier to teach a sales guy how to do tech work. It just is way easier. Um, and I know that you mentioned actually early on the podcast, you said that you were talking about like firefighting. Do you still do that today?
I do, yeah. So it's been a real blessing. The original career plan for us was to be a firefighter paramedic. So that's what I was. That was my passion. I was going into that for a few years, 2008 to 2011. I was a volunteer firefighter in Eagle, Idaho. I went to paramedic school. Crushed it at paramedic. I loved being a paramedic. Got to spend my internship was at Grady Memorial in Atlanta. So I spent 6 weeks just every single day, 13 hours a day, running and gunning in Atlanta. It was nighttime shift too, or overnight. So, dude, we saw everything twice,
I
right?
can imagine that's gonna be some wild stuff.
Yeah, Atlanta is pretty crazy. So, especially at night. So we did that, and then I'm getting these offers. By this time, I've been selling pest control for like 4 or 5 years, and so we're getting these paramedic job offers. Hey man, well, we pay $8 an hour, but don't worry, you work 80 hours a week. And so my wife and I are like, like the trade-off just isn't there, right? So then we said, yeah, I'm making twice as much in a summer selling pest control than I would year round being a paramedic. So we had to abandon that plan, start our pest control company, and then now here we found a dream house out in the country. Checked all the boxes for me. I wanted a house with a view. I wanted it to be made out of concrete, and a couple other things. So we found the house. It's our dream house. And to get to work, we've got to drive past the fire station here in our little town. So one day, Chief calls Natura and says, "Hey, I see your guy driving by in that big green pest control van every day. Can you send him by for a quote? We got mice." And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll go by." So I went there talking to Chief and give him a quote for mice. And I said, "Hey, actually, I used to be a firefighter back in the day, and I used to be a paramedic." And Chief, I mean, he all but like grabbed me by the collar and dragged me into the office and shoved an application in my hand. So I came back home. Janet and I talked about it for, I don't know, 10 minutes. And then I got on. So I was a volunteer firefighter for a while, renewed my EMT license. And then now I'm a part-time paid firefighter there. So it's super cool because I get paid to be there rather than just volunteering. And so we've got full-time guys, part-time guys like me, and volunteers. So if the full-time guys have a Kelly day or they're sick or vacation or whatever, then they'll call the part-time guys. So it's awesome. I get to pick and choose what shifts I take. And if I don't, if I can't or it conflicts with my schedule, I turn it down and then I pick up the next one. So it's the best of both worlds. And it doesn't make a ton. I think I make like $500 per 24-hour shift or something like that. So it's enough that like it funds a big family vacation once a year. And I get to do that as my hobby. So it's like, I really consider that I've got two jobs, right? I mean, Natura is my Bruce Wayne job. And then, firefighting with District 10, that's my Batman job.
Yeah, I love that. So what were you, you talked about Jana a lot. What are your role in the company? And then what's Jana's role in the company?
That is such a good question. So my role in the company really is more like on the operational side, at least when we started, before we turned everything over to our GM. It was the operations. Eric and I both became aces. We're very involved. I'm very involved in the knowledge and the SOPs and like the doing of the pest control, right? Because you can't be a pest control company and not know how to do pest control. Otherwise, you're just a faker, right? So that was really my role. And then when we had door teams, was recruiting, training, and improving the sales team. So that was always my role. Jana is the fixer, I guess you could say. Like she's the Mary Poppins. She makes everything run in the background. And she really, I would say that Jana is the brains of the operation. And I think that she doesn't like it when I say that because she is really humble about it. But yeah, Jana, just because it's a good idea, just because it's a cool idea doesn't mean it's a good idea. So Jana's really good at sifting through the cool ideas and like pulling out the dumb ideas. Have you ever heard the Aesop's fable of the belled cat?
No, tell me about
Have you
that.
ever heard this one?
No.
So the mice had a problem, and the problem was the cat. And so the mice held a grand council, where they were going to discuss what to do about the cat. And there are all these ideas that were put forward. We can do this, we can do that. And none of the ideas worked. And then this mouse, really smart mouse, stands up and he says, "I got it. Here's what we're going to do. The problem is that the cat can sneak up on us and can catch us because it's so quiet. So what we need to do is we need to put a bell around the cat's neck." And all the mice applaud and, "Yeah, that's the greatest idea. Well, yes, that's the solution." And then this wise old mouse stands up and he says, "That's a fantastic idea. The greatest idea we've heard yet. I only have one question. Who's going to put the bell around the cat's neck?" Right? So Jen is the wise mouse. She's the one that says, "That's a great idea. But who's going to put the bell around the cat's neck?" She keeps us in line. She keeps our actions in line with the goals overall.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then you brought up Eric. We've obviously interviewed Eric on the show before, and he's been a big part of your life. Like take us back. Like, how do you find Eric? Where does he come into play?
Eric is awesome, dude. I love Eric. He's the greatest brother-in-law. So I met Eric when I met Jana, basically. He's Jana's younger brother, 5 years younger than Jana. Everybody thinks we're brothers because, I mean, we look a lot alike, but we're brothers-in-law. So I got Eric into pest control in 2008, I think, or 2009. So he went and sold door to door for a while. And then he came back. He and I worked for the same company in Boise. And then that company brought Eric in as their inside sales director. And so that company sold to Western, and Western kept Eric on in that position. And he was able to take their worst performing region to their best performing region in the space of like a year. I mean, he just killed it. So Eric really dialed in like the inside sales, like KPIs and tracking all that stuff. Like that's Eric's wheelhouse. He loves that. So so in 2018, Jana did a lot of work. She was like, "Hey, Eric, you need to come work for us." So he came on as our outside sales director, basically leading the sales teams. And then a year later, we just said, "Dude, you just buy equity, just buy into the company." So Eric bought into the company. And now we're partners. And Eric is awesome. He and Jana have a lot of overlap in a lot of areas. They're both very brilliant. Jana's a fantastic strategist. Eric is a fantastic evaluator. And so our three roles really work so well, because you've got the visionary, the guy with the crazy ideas, right? That's me. Then you've got the strategist, Jana, who says, okay, well, if we're going to get there, here's what we got to do. Here's what we have to put in. Here's what we have to take out. And then Eric is really good at looking at the whole thing and saying, okay, well, what went well? What didn't go well? What's holding us back? And then together as a team, we can figure out what we need to do moving forward. So that's really our role right now, is just kind of like hot air balloon view of the business and, making adjustments as we go.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm gonna ask you this question. What made you and Eric want to go get your ACE certification?
I think it was just the drive to be the best, that's the drive. We had run out of pest control licenses I mean, there's no more pest control licenses from the state that we could get. I mean, we had them all, and so it's like, well, what's next? And then we heard about the ACE program. We're like, well, that's obviously the next thing. So we went and took the ACE exam, and it's really cool because it demonstrates that we have, I don't know, that we have proven ourselves as having the next level of education in the pest control world. You can be really good at sales, but if you suck at pest control, what good does it do, to be good at sales, other than obviously make lots of money? But to us, that always felt disingenuous, to be really good at selling something, but not being good at delivering. So I think that was the big motivation for us, is we wanted to be able to deliver super well on the product that we're selling.
Yeah, because you still have to have a great product at the end of the day.
Yeah, if your product sucks, I mean, how do you win in your industry if you have a lot of accounts but your service sucks?
Yeah. So we're gonna transition because you told me earlier on in the show, before we got cut off, that you were starting a new project, which I'm really excited about. But talk us through that. Where did it come from? Like, where did the idea come from, too?
Okay, so that is such a cool story. So my good friend and I, Josh Zuniga, we started a company called Volt. Um, the way that it came out is really cool. Josh had a dream. Dude, Josh is a total G, and he's such a cool dude. Like he and I get together so well. There's no posturing. There's no pompousness in our partnership. If one of us has a dumb idea, we just say, I don't know, that's a dumb idea. And the other person says, you know what? You're right. So we work so well together. The team that we have is awesome. So Josh has this dream that he's got a company that takes inbound sales calls for pest control companies that don't really have a strong inside sales program. So he has this dream, and he said it came to him more kind of like an answer to a prayer. And so Volt is I guess a shortened form of Deus Volt, which was the battle cry of the Crusaders, and it basically means God wills it. So Josh doesn't tell that story super openly because he doesn't want to sound, I don't know, whatever. He doesn't want to sound like he's a crusader or something, but that's where that comes from. Volt, VULT. And so that's what we do. We do inbound sales for pest control companies. So you're a pest control company, you're paying For marketing, you're paying for leads. Those leads are coming in, but your marketing team or your sales team isn't super strong, or you don't have the resources for it. So all of those leads get funneled through our guys.
Or if like you have an inside sales team, they walk away.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, it's like a vending machine. You put money in, and in the morning you wake up and there's new sales on your sales routes, or your field routes. I mean, it's that simple.
Let's just say they have a bunch of old leads. Do you guys handle those two, or is that what you guys do?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we do inbound and outbound. So that's like inbound calls. Outbound is like form fills or text messages, text campaigns. We also do upsell and win back campaigns for customers. So it's awesome. I mean, you've got when we meet with the companies, the clients, we do a deep dive discovery where we basically just pull up the hood and just dismantle everything about the company. And then we find the holes. We find where their bucket is leaking. We patch those holes. For instance, you might be a company that's doing mosquitoes, but it turns out that you're charging about $50 per mosquito visit, in which case you're not only losing your shorts, you're getting kicked in the nuts at the same time, right? So we'll patch that up, and then we create packages for the customers that have basically 3 tiers. Like Gen Pest is the top one, plus upsells, mosquitoes, termites, rodents, or whatever it is. And so that's what we're pitching first for the clients to their customers. And then the upsell, we're basically just contacting all their existing customer base and saying, hey, maybe you don't know this, but we're also offering such and such service. So when they call in to upgrade, we're closing those. And then we do win back campaigns for the companies as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So we're doing everything. We're literally taking all of the sales off of their plate and just turning it around and just scheduling those new customers directly onto their field routes.
That's super awesome. I love that. I know you read a lot of books. I read a lot of books, and I don't want to keep you here too long. So can you give us, your top few recommendations for books that everyone needs to read?
Yeah, there's a mentality. I think sometimes that you got to read like a crap ton of books. And so you'll see guys that are like, I read 50 books a year.
I did that one. It was cool. Yeah, but it's just like you have to be able to like take that book, process that book, and then implement that book. So I get it. Yeah, been to both sides of this.
Yeah. And so I don't know, that's not my jam. There's a handful of books that I'll read over and over again. One of the books that I just love is by John C. Maxwell. It's the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Dude, that is such a good book. It sits on my desk. I turn to it all the time because, as a business owner, it's all about leadership and influence, right? And leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. I mean, that's the thing that he emphasizes throughout this whole book. So that's been super helpful to us as a business because if you don't have influence with your people, you can't grow your business, and that's been really helpful. I like to read a lot of books that don't really have anything to do with business. I feel like the helps for business will come as I seek those answers. You hit a problem, so you find the answer. I find that that's way more beneficial than like trying to glean everything all at once. But I like reading books that I like reading historical fiction, so that's a lot of fun. My favorite historical fiction book is called Rats by what's his name? Robert Sullivan, I think, and it's such a fun book. I don't know if you're out there, you've never read Rats.
I just wrote it down. I never read it. Yeah.
Dude, it's so cool. The dude sits on a stool in an alleyway behind a Chinese restaurant and an Italian restaurant in New York for a year and just observes rats. And then he wrote a book about it. And then during the day, he goes and he researches rats. And in the end, ultimately, it almost feels like he's making a comparison between rats and humans. Like we're really similar. So anyway, that's a really fun book.
Cool. I appreciate that. And I know, like, this is taking me back again. I could be wrong, but maybe you were part of a group or in a group, but didn't you have a bunch of people come out to your facility and do like a site visit or something like that?
We have actually, yeah, we have had good friends in the pest control industry that will call us and say, hey, I just happen to be in Portland for such and such reason. One of the guys is a super good friend of ours from Sage Pest Control, Josh Schiffman. He's a super cool guy. He borrowed our van. His daughter had a soccer tournament in Portland, and he's like, dude, I'm going to end up spending thousands of dollars on a van. And I was like, yeah, we have a 4x4, like full length Ford Transit van. And so I just put all the seats in it. They borrowed it. Anyway, he came and did a site visit. Natura Pest Control is a glass house, man. Like, if anybody in the industry is ever close by to Portland or Vancouver, Washington, dude, just look us up, man. We'd love to take you to lunch.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
awesome. Come
So
check it out.
yeah, we're open to it. Like, however we can help. That's where we've come. That's kind of where we've landed in the industry, right? Is because when we started, when I started in pest control 20 years ago, it was like everybody had their secrets, and no one wanted to reveal their Colonel's 11 secret herbs and spices, right? Because everybody's secret. And so, dude, and the whole vision of Bug Bucks when we were part of Bug Bucks was to blow the lid off of that mindset and just realize that this pie is continually expanding, and there's always going to be enough pie for everybody. And you grow faster and you grow better when you grow together.
Yeah, I love that because I came from the lawn care world, which and that's how it was. Everyone loved to help everyone. And then when I got into pest control, it wasn't like that. It was really strange, actually. And
It's
then I was like,
bizarre, right?
yeah. So then I was like, I just don't follow that philosophy. That's how it's like one of the reasons the podcast started. Like, I'm willing to help everyone, anyone. I even had someone comment on my Facebook post, like, "Oh, I wish I didn't live so close because I live like 30 miles from or maybe even less than that, from our facility." I'm like, dude, I don't care where you live. I'm willing to help you. I don't care if you're my direct competitor. Like, I don't care. I'm willing to help. We're all in this thing together at the end of the day. And we all can help each other in some form or fashion.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So I know you kind of we'll wrap this up because I don't want to take all of your day and we got a little glitch in there. But and I know you told me your goals for Natura. You want to double in the next 5 years. But maybe tell us some personal goals that you have over the next 5 years too.
Oh man, that is such a great question. So yeah, goals. I don't know. My philosophy on goals is that I think goals are stupid, and I know that that's like what, dude? Are you an idiot? But I think that goals are great if you have goals that are habits. Like, I have a goal to create this habit, not a goal to create um, a wish. So the habits that I'm trying to create, I want to like it's body, mind, spirit, right? So my motto has always been God, family, country. And when
Your
there's a
family
decision to make,
mantra.
yeah, it's become the family mantra. Yeah, yeah, God, family, country. And I think that priorities are super important when it comes to setting goals and creating habits, because you're not ever going to reach your goal unless you create a habit for it. I'll give you an example. My younger brother, he also owns a pest control company in Boise. The dude, he's freaking awesome, and he's jacked. And he was in the army. He was a intel analyst. He went to Iraq twice. Spent a year in Iraq twice, and all he did while he was in Iraq was work, catch bad guys, right? Eat, sleep, and lift. That's all he did, right? So he came back from Iraq and he was just giant. I mean, like you, right? Like, just jacked. And so this one year, he was always on the sales team because he was a school teacher, and then summertime he'd come sell. And we had this sales guy one time that was looking at Jesse. I think we were at the swimming pool, and he was like, dude, I wish I looked like that. And Jesse simply said, yeah, man, I used to wish that too. So it's all about your habits. It's all about your habits. So I'm trying to make my habits are these. Here are my habits. So I work out. I lift 4 days a week. I've got a tonal. I hate going to the gym.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Those things are
Yeah.
dope. I actually
It
seen
is
one for
dope.
the first time like a month ago.
Yeah. That's awesome because it's everything in one. If there's some piece of gym equipment that isn't replicated by the tonal, then man, I don't need it. Right. So I lift 4 days a week. And my other habit is I've got an assault bike because the tonal doesn't really do a whole lot for cardio and endurance like that. And as a firefighter, I've got to keep that going. So I start every morning with a hard push on the assault bike, then lift. Yoga 2 days a week, to keep my body from breaking. My long term goal is I want to be able to put my socks on standing up until the day I die. You know, that's like my daily physical check-in. If I can put my socks on standing up, then my coordination, my flexibility, and my balance are all still in check, right? So that's it on the physical side. On the spiritual side, not missing church on Sunday. That's super important for me. Making sure we have family prayer every night before we all go to bed. Making sure that I'm giving God my time with Him. Because how can you be led by God if you're not giving Him time? So that's super important. And then I think that the biggest thing is just time with the family. Um, Jack leaves in October. We've got 4 months left with Jack. I mean, he's in a way when he goes on his mission, like that's the end of his childhood. His adolescence is over. And so being able to spend as much time as possible as a family is really big. So we have habits that we have of family time and stuff like that. So and then as far as the business goes, Natura, we have habits in place for Natura. I guess you could say like business habits that help to grow the business, and then also with Volt, we've got some habits that are working there. So, in terms of setting goals, we have goals, we have big goals, but we have the habits to back them up. And I think that's where the success lies, is in really creating those habits.
Yeah, I love that, man. Well, man, you're like, there's very few podcasts that I have. Like, I just, when I leave, I'm just fired up, and this is one of them. So I know it was a great episode for me. So that means I know it's gonna be a great episode for the listeners. And Jake, you're an absolute monster, which is really cool. And you're just a humble dude too. Someone that I can just kick it with every day. So I appreciate everything you're doing for the industry as a whole, not just for this podcast. But I know you guys have done a lot for the industry too, and I appreciate everything that you guys have done as well.
Yeah, no, right back at you, Jonas. I mean, dude, I love your show. I listen to your episodes, and same thing, man. I appreciate you too. I mean, everybody knows you, and when you are a public figure, I guess, like you are, and I guess me, and in some way, and other people that have visibility in the industry, you have a social responsibility
I do.
to,
Absolutely.
you know, yeah. It's like one time, I guess I tell a lot of stories. I don't mean to, but
No, I love these
I
stories.
have a friend who her sister and her sister's friend, they live in California. They were walking down some like dark, windy road in California one night. It was like really dangerous. All of a sudden, this car pulls up next to him. The window rolls down, and it's The Rock, like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, right? And he rolls down the window and he's like, "What are you girls doing out here? This is a dangerous road. You shouldn't be out here. You need to go home. You need to get off the road. This is dangerous." And then they're like, "Okay." And then he rolled the window up and drove off. And so, when you're a person of influence, if you're doing things in your power to help others, to lift others, to be a positive impact in other people's lives, then that sends a ripple that impacts others, and it goes the other way too. I mean, the older I get, the broader my circle becomes. My circle is just expanding and growing broader and broader and broader. And I love it because there are so many great people, and every person that you meet has something to contribute. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got some way that they've overcome, and some way that they can help build other people. So I think that it's great to see you having those same goals also, to build the industry, build people, be positive, and love and help others. So thank you for that too.
I appreciate it. Dude, it's a great episode. Again, thanks for your time. Sorry about the little glitch in the middle, but we got through it. We'll pick up where we left off. So it was fun. But again, I got to spend even a little bit longer with you, which I appreciate too. I'd love to come visit you guys sometimes offline, but maybe we'll arrange something for me to come visit, to check out the operation. It'd be really cool.
Dude, yeah, I'd like to get over there too.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Yep. Bye bye. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.